And welcome, Neko AB here with another video about music and my thoughts in relation to what other people have said. Now, before I begin, I do have to point out a couple things. One, if you have an opinion about something, feel free to share it, as long as you're not attacking anyone. I have no problem with it. That's number one. Number two, if you want to do a react video or recommend it to someone who does react videos, you're more than welcome to do so. I have no problem with it. And number three, this is not to start beef with anyone, because after all, the internet is the kind of place where you could say you love pancakes and someone will assume that you hate waffles or you hate toast. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not the case. So no, there's no beef with anyone. And even though there's people that I won't talk directly about, such as Anthony Fantano, Rick Beato, and Mary Spender, at the same time, there is no real disagreements with them, Sure, certain things I disagree with, but also there are certain things that I do agree with. It's just that this video is going to be going into other people. Well, going to talking about other people, I mean to say. Now, with all that out of the way, here's to the main subject of the video. So, of course, I have a screen cap from my history, and I'm going to start off with Alpha Media's video, The Misunderstood Art of Songwriting. Now, an interesting thing that is pointing out in that video that I have seen time and time again reading like comment sections or talking to people about music is that there are a lot of people who don't know, a lot of people who do believe that every musician is a singer-songwriter. And that's not always the case. Likewise, some people also believe that the quality of music is based on the songwriting. Matter of fact, even a lot of my music classes, there was a greater emphasis on the lyricist more so than composition. So this is something that I've also seen taught in schools a few times. I'm not going to go into detail on that one. But as I said, there are a lot of people who have this skewed opinion, and it's like, not everyone is a singer-songwriter. And that's not a bad thing, Example that's pointed to in the video is Frank Sinatra. He doesn't write his own music. And then Whitney Houston, who's said to be doing a cover of Dolly Parton. And like I said, I don't know Dolly Parton's music enough. Like I know her more as an actress than a singer, I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, there is a lot of this that people don't understand. And even then, when it comes to the whole thing of composition, there is the fact that some people don't realize that looking at the lyrics, you're not going to understand like what instrument is supposed to be used in it, what mood is supposed to be present, what tone you're supposed to have when singing the music, things like that. And of course, vocalizing isn't just going by what tone and maintaining that tone. It's also going up and down, making your voice melodic, in order to like put emphasis on certain vowels and stuff like that. And there are also many instances, and as said in that video, where you do have it where a band will have like one person who contributes to lyrics and the other contributes to composition, stuff, major things, not just like the tone of the voice and the melody that the vocalist needs to carry, but also the instrumentation that accompanies the vocals. And a lot of this, it makes what comes together to make a song great, And then there's also another thing that no, he actually did go into it. I was going to go into a whole thing about cover music, but like he brought up Whitney Houston doing a cover song, so there is that. Next up is Andy Edwards, and my apologies, I am not going to read that whole title because that's going to take way too long with this video. But yeah, Andy Edwards talks about something else that I'm surprised most people don't talk about, which is improv and collaboration. And towards the end of the video, his video, like I think it's like the last 10-15 minutes. I haven't really timed it myself. There's also an example of this where he is playing with two other musicians. They are resonating with each other, they harmonize, and it creates something that's powerful. Like, goes into something that Andy Edwards has always said in various videos about the sublime, and something that I myself often view as the natural, where you just have these musicians building off of each other, creating beautiful and wonderful music. And the thing that Andy Edwards talked about is how the whole thing of like the importance of coming together, importance of not just the whole thing of improv as a form of songwriting, but also the whole thing of people coming together and the power of collaboration. And oftentimes it isn't just one person that creates a song, sometimes it's a team. And as a team, you can create something that's beautiful. But at the same time, it isn't just that, which is why next one is an interview of Stewart Copeland while he's working on the soundtrack for the Spyro the Dragon game. Very good soundtrack. Now, an interesting thing about Stewart Copeland is that he talks about something that we believe is a modern thing, but has been a thing since the 90s, perhaps even earlier, which is stuff like quantizing, which is funny. He does some quantizing for Spyro the Dragon, but at the same time, it sounds good. And so the question comes, okay, how did that, when he quantizes, it sounds good, but other people quantize, it doesn't sound good? And this is something that I immediately picked up on, but I do think that watching what Stewart Copeland has to say actually allows others to better understand this, which is that he basically creates his own melodies, creates his own tracks, and he'll also fly out to work with an orchestra to get additional elements to put into his composition. And while yes, this is a lot of recorded stuff and other such fancy things, like quantizing and stuff like that, at the same time, a lot of it is of his creation and his concept, what he got from playing the game and what he believes sounds best for that part of the game that he plays through. Much like how you have those who do movie compositions, and Stewart Copeland is also someone who has history of composing for movies before working on Spyro, which is like learning the scene, understanding the scene, and just like how a singer will take in a song, make it their own, and just project out the lyrics and sing and perform. You do also have the same thing that Stewart Copeland did, which was take that scene or take that element or take that gameplay, as in the case of Spyro, and compose the music that's needed for that part, and which makes it a more immersive experience for whoever is playing that game. A lot of, like, Spyro is like a huge thing for a lot of people's childhoods, and I can understand why, especially after giving some time of actually listening to the soundtrack by itself. It does conjure forth and sort of wonder and mystery that one could associate with a dragon, even if the said dragon is a bit of a sass. Very sassy. Now on to the last part, What the Internet Gets Wrong About Autotune by Nico Reinhardt. And this is probably one of the more interesting things, something I've been wanting to rant about because of something I want to disagree with. Again, I'm not going to name names, but yeah, you got a lot of people who's convinced that everything is auto-tuned, so everything is bad and stuff like that. And it isn't even auto-tune that's used, but definitely something that is referred to as a pitch correcting software, some sort of pitch correction. And the interesting thing is, this is more in relation to the perception of others have, because a lot of times when the audio is recorded, you do end up having to filter it, and there are various reasons for it. Like, for example, I myself actually have a compressor, both a compressor and a sound gate functioning as I record this audio. If I didn't do this, you would be hearing all sorts of peaks and pops and other such annoyances. And that can also, when it comes to music recording, that can get in the way. Last thing you want is to hear a song and then suddenly you just hear random popping because of some sort of internal problem in the recording that makes it difficult. And so in that instance, something like a compressor is used so the audio does not peak. However, there are a lot of people who will take this in and believe that it's pitch corrected, it's auto-tuned, the musician is doing all sorts of wacky stuff, and while some may be doing the same thing that Stuart Copeland does, which is quantizing, at the same time there isn't any more than that. And even in some instances, some musicians don't even quantize. It's just that because they use compressors and such, it does have an effect on their voice. I mean, even with my voice, I don't sound like this in real life. My voice does sound a little bit different. And of course, there's also other things which I've gotten into talking about in another video, which is that computers are imperfect when it comes to interpreting reality. So they're trying to like my computer is trying to interpret what I said and recording to the best of its ability. So this way, when it plays back to you, the listener, it sounds as close to what I actually sound. And that is another thing that a lot of people tend to miss when it comes to audio recording, which is that there is an element that is missed that the computer can't interpret, which is also something that Andy Edwards himself has spoke of in videos as well. The problem of recorded music versus live music, which is that you're not going to hear everything, and everything's not going to be clean. And the best you can do while editing and recording is to try to get it set up so this way the machine can interpret the best quality possible for your vocal. And that's basically everything I want to say. So with all that said, I am Neko AV, and I do thank you for watching. And I do say also to watch these videos because there's a lot of things I didn't talk about, but I do believe that there's something that you may actually learn. Especially Andy Edwards, because the music playing at the end definitely goes into what he refers to as the sublime. And it's definitely something worth listening to. So with all that said, I thank you for watching.